Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video at my YouTube channel. Today I am coloring the Some Odd Girl Pisces, and I'm going to be Copic coloring her. So let's get started. I'm going to zoom in nice and tight so I can avoid those glares on my glass mat. Okay, for her skin today I'm using E50, E51, E11, E23 and R20 as the cheek color. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know this is not a normal skin color for me. I normally go just a tad bit darker than this, but I thought maybe a mermaid or fish girl or whatever, you know, Pisces girl she is, that she might have a lighter skin color since she doesn't really get out of the water to get in the sun. So I decided to go a little bit lighter on her. And so right now I'm just mapping out all the shadow areas with my lightest color. If you do that with your lightest color, then if you make a mistake, then it's in your lightest color and you can easily go over it and cover it up. So then for my lightest color, I just decided to go from my darkest, then back down to my lightest, and just building out that color just a little bit more with each marker as I go through the set. And don't forget to define that nose a little bit. I didn't use the darkest color to do that. I think I used the second darkest color to define that nose area. And just building out all those colors, and then finally going in with the bulk of the face as that lightest color, and then I will go back and put the cheek color over that and blend it in. And I know it looks really strange, kind of alien-like right there with the alcohol ink being wet. It doesn't look the way it does after it dries. So, but she'll have a nice fleshy color when she dries. So moving on to the next skin area, and I like to just do a little area at a time. That way I can control my blending with the moisture level in the paper from the ink and everything. I find I have a little bit more of a difficult time if I am trying to do too big of an area and the ink starts drying in the paper, and it makes my blending just a little bit harder for me. Okay, so now we're moving down to the stomach area. I decided to put a couple little extra lines in there to help define her stomach muscles a little bit. Kind of jelly. Wish I had my stomach muscles were defined like that, but I digress. Anyway. So moving right along, and I'm a bit of a messy colorer, so I always keep my colorless blender nice and full to hide those mistakes. Now for the hair, I'm going to do E35, E08, and R59, so it's going to be a nice red color. So here again, I'm trying another new color combination. I wanted a kind of a reddish hair girl just to maybe kind of emulate Ariel, but it didn't quite turn out as red as I thought it would, and I have a lot of trouble getting it to look the way I wanted it to look, the way I pictured it in my head. I still never got there, but later on in the coloring process I will go through it all again with my colors and go for a more smoothed out look versus the striation look, and I do get a little bit more happy with how it looks, but still not sure if I'll do this color combination again. But anyway, and in the end I was pretty okay with it, and I thought as a whole she looked really cute. So I'll let you be the judge yourself, what you think about this color combination. And I said it gets pretty ugly looking before it gets better. So just hang in there, bear with the process, and you'll see how it turns out. So I was quickly trying to put this together, and with the hair not cooperating with me, it was getting really frustrating because we were trying to go out of town, and I needed to get this done because my posting day for the Some Odd Girl Facebook community is on Fridays, and so we were leaving in town on Friday, and I was trying to get this done and everything so I could have it ready to go Friday morning, where all I had to do was just hit the button. And I had several different things just fighting with me on this cart, and this hair was one of them. So we have been doing a lot of traveling lately and putting some miles on the RV. But this weekend was a fun weekend. We've got an RV group that part of them are here in our neighborhood. The other part live in Shreveport. And we met in Jefferson for a Mardi Gras weekend. It's really fun out there. It's a great little town to, they've got lots of activities throughout the year. And so it was a lot of fun. It was a little cold, a little rainy, but the rain held off during the parade, so that was all good. Okay, now moving on to the fins, I'm going to use BG 1, 5, and 7. And I'm basically just going to go with the lines that Christy has put in the drawing. And those are going to be my darkest areas. And I'm going to start with my darkest color, and then I will just grow those areas out with the medium shade color, and then I will fill in with the lightest shade. I probably could have got a little bit more dimension if I would have added maybe a fourth color in there, a little bit more of a darker shade to really highlight those indentation areas. But I think all in all, you know, the fins turned out pretty good. I think that is a really pretty shade of blue with just a kind of a hint of tealness to it. So we'll get those finished up here real quick. For the tail and the top, I'm going to use E50, BG10, YG11, BG45, BG49, and BG78. This is a combination I have not used before, so we'll see how it goes. Kind of like that hair. Just a combination I haven't used before. I'm not real happy with the hair, but... Okay, just quickly did a little bit more cleaning up there with my Color to Splendor, and now I am going in with my darkest color, and I'm going to do darkest to lightest on these areas, and I'm just going to start with her little top. I'm not going to quite put all the colors in on the little top because the real estate there is just not quite as much, but that will give it a little bit of a differentiation from the tail as well. So here I am just going in, and I decided the bottom part of the tail, I wanted it darker, and then it's going to fade up into the lighter colors, and then I'm going to have the darker colors around the outside edges to give her a rounded appearance too. So just like I said, going darkest to lightest and just building those colors out little by little, and make sure that I'm putting in those scales that are drawn in there to the left. And we're going to do a little technique here after I get that all colored up to give it more of a texture look. And basically it's just using your colorless blender solution and a little piece of a cloth of some sort. You can do this too whenever you want something to look like blue jean. You can cut a little piece of blue jean material, and you just soak it just a little bit with the colorless solution, and then you just kind of blot it onto the area that you've colored, and it'll leave that texture in there. You just have to be really careful not to oversaturate your cloth and not to leave it on there too long, or else you will cause your colors to bleed. Yes, ask me how I know that, because I've ruined a picture or two before trying to do this technique. I also decided to take my 3 darkest colors and do her eyeballs with this. And you want to do the darker shade up at the top because her eyelid shades, and then you'll see lighter color down at the bottom. And then I'll go in with my black glaze pen to put in her iris. I always think the eyes look a little bit creepy until you get the irises put in there. So I'm just going to finish up these, and then I'm going to get my Signo Uniball white gel pen out, and it's actually not a gel pen, it's actually like a pigment pen out, and clean up some little areas and stuff. Oh, I did her tongue. I did it with R20, and then I thought that was a little bright, so I went over it with E11. I thought that made it look a good fleshy kind of pink color. And so then that little area of the mouth, I just decided to use my darkest BG color that I had out. It's close enough to like a black or whatever, so I thought that looked good to fill in that little crack. So here I am going to go over this hair again to I don't know, make it look better. I mean, and maybe it's fine. It was fine the way it was, but I was not happy with it at all. And so I am going to go over. I wanted it redder too, and I thought it looked just a little bit too brown. And so I'm just going over the darkest areas again, and then blending it all out with that lightest color. And I do this a few times, and just trying to really go in those you know, darkest areas and give it a little bit more depth and dimension. And I'm just smoothing it out to decided to get rid of the striation look and just really go for more of a smooth blended look. And I was a little bit happier with that. Got a little bit under ear, so I just went over that, and then with the colorless blender, and then put some of that lightest skin color right over the top of it. So now here's where I'm going to put the texture on the tail. And like I said, just, you don't want to saturate it, but you want it to wet, and you don't want to put it on there very long either, or else you're going to get some bleeding issues. And try not to let your towel go out of the lines either. So those are all, you know, really good tips for doing that. So here I'm going to use my Signo pen, and I am going to just clean up those white areas in her eyes and right along the tail. I want to make sure and have a good line around her tail, because I'm going to use my brother's Scan and Cut to cut her out. And here's, I'm just going to use my black glaze pen to put in her irises, and then voila, she has eyeballs. Okay, now so to start on the background, this is the first time that I've used this Tim Holtz 3D texture phase. This is the Botanical, and I've been using my Gemini machine for all of my die cutting now. This thing is really thick, and it has a lot of texture to it. And here's my paper. I'm going to mist it with water both sides. That's what Tim says to do. That way you don't have any cracking, because you're going to put a lot of indentations in this material. And so I decided I wanted to give it a little bit more color. So I am rubbing Distress Oxide Peacock feathers over my plate here. So in the recesses, it'll have a little bit of a different color. And so just to give it a little bit more dimension and pop and everything. I said I used my directions for my Gemini, but I had a devil of a time getting it to go through there. So maybe a hand crank machine for these would probably be best. But it turned out well. I really enjoy it. You can see that peacock feathers there in the recesses, and so I thought that did exactly what I wanted it to do. But I thought it needed some shimmer. So I'm going to pull out, first, here's after I ran this through my brother's Scan and Cut. Then it has this one area here that I've got a fussy cut out. And so I just went in with some little detail scissors. And so now I'm going to use my Memento Tuxedo Black marker. And I'm going to go around all the edges. And it'll make it look just perfect. You know, you'll get rid of any of those little white spots and stuff, and you just, like magic, it makes it look perfect. And you want to do this from behind in case your marker slips, then you won't color all down the front of your image. Ask me how I know that. Yes, I've done that before. And do not use an alcohol marker for this. The Memento is a water-based marker. If you use an alcohol marker, it will bleed into your image. Done that one before too. So, okay, so now here we're going to add shimmer. You can see that that pigment is collected on the bottom. You want to shake, 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 and shake, shake, shake some more, and then spray it from about 18 inches up to get a nice fine mist over the whole thing. And then just baby wipe up your glass mat, and you're ready to go on to the next step. So I'm going to use my Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen, and I'm going to go over her tail and her fins and give her a really nice coat of shimmer on her. So this is very sparkly, very shimmery effects on this card. Just set that aside to dry for a bit. And I'm using the Scripty Happy Lawn Fawn die because I'm going to put Happy Birthday on the front of the card. Just use my Tim Holtz craft pick to get that out of the die. And then on that little scrap piece of cardstock, I am going to heat emboss Birthday, which this came out of a honeybee stamp set. And the embossing powder that I used was a little too chunky. You can still read it, and you know, I'm okay with it, but if I did it again, I would use a more fine detail embossing powder for this. But I was wanting to use a teal, and the teal that I had was a chunky glitter, so it is what it is. And so I'm just going to run this through my little sidekick. I love my little sidekick. I can put it right here on top of my glass mat and run small things through it. And it cuts super duper well. So now I've got that. And at some point here, before the end of the card, my camera battery dies and it does shut off. Because it did take a little over an hour to do this whole card from start to finish, and so I didn't have my battery charged up all the way, and it died on me. So, and it's a bummer that you can't see all the shimmer on the video as good, because this card has tons of shimmer to it. And so I'm just going to use a little Nuvo Deluxe adhesive and glue that green layer down flat. And then I am going to liberally put the foam tape on the back of this embossed image piece, because it with all that embossing and stuff, you need a lot of it on there to adhere, as well as to kind of flatten it out a little bit, make it more straight. So I'll just get those little liners removed. And you saw me, I really burnished that down good with my bone folder too. Okay. And then I thought it just didn't have quite enough shimmer. So I start going over it with my Aqua Shimmer pen, but it's not putting out enough shimmer. So I decided to squeeze it. So whenever you do squeeze your pen, don't squeeze it over your project, because it will bloop out on you. As you saw, that I got a bloop out on my craft mat, but I can just pick that up and not waste that. I can just pick it up with the bristles and stuff. But like I said, don't hold it over your project, because it will bloop out, and that could be you know, a bad thing if it lands in the bad spot. So I'm just quickly going over all the little raised areas. Just wanted to give those some additional shimmer besides what the shimmer spray put on there, because that shimmer spray really is a super fine mist, especially you hold it really high up. you don't get as many big spots, and it's a very, very fine shimmer. Very elegant looking, but this is just kind of gives it that how water glimmers in the sunlight. It's what I think of when I move this back and forth in the light. And I decided to go over that happy too, because you know everything just needs some shimmer and glitter. And so I've also put foam tape behind my little girl here, and I made sure I cut a bunch of little pieces and got all those little bits that are sticking out supported, so nothing gets messed up going in the mail. This does take a while, but it's well worth it. And so now I'll just get all those little liners peeled off and everything. So you'll see how this comes together. There'll be a final photo where you can see the final product. I thank you for watching and thumbs upping and commenting on my videos. It really means a lot to me. And you know, if you like some Odd Girl images, you know, check out their blog and their Facebook community. I post on the Facebook community on Fridays and usually in the last week of the month for the blog posts. I'll see you soon in the next video.